Hey guys, so today I'm really excited to sit down and test out some new to me products from e.l.f. They were recently having like a 60% off sale for Beauty Squad members, so I took advantage and got a bunch of stuff for like $3 and under, and then I did also add a few things that weren't part of that sale to my cart that I had just wanted to try for a while, such as the Camo powder foundation. I just really want to see what all the fuss is about with powder foundations in general, and I figured this one would be a good place to start because I know a lot of people seem to really like this one, so we're going to test that out today. Very excited to try that. And I'll go ahead and give you a brief rundown of the other new things that I picked up so you kind of have a sneak peek of what we're going to try today. But I also got one of their putty bronzers and luminous putty blushes. I asked you guys on Instagram as I was placing my order what your favorite e.l.f. products were, and a lot of people recommended these putty cheek products, so I'm excited to try those. I have really been into like potted cream cheek products recently. Quite a few people recommended I try the brow lift, so I picked that up because I still haven't tried any kind of brow product like this, and I've been looking for something that's going to give my brows some really good hold, so I'm excited to give that a try. Also, I cannot believe how clear this is. Like, you can just see straight through it. It's fascinating. To go along with the brow lift, I got the brow lift applicator, which has a nice like metal flat end that I guess is supposed to help you like push the brows into place, so figured that would help me get acquainted with that product. Another subscriber recommendation was their No Budge Shadow Stick in the shade Magnetic Pull. Apparently this is a good alternative to the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize Cream Shadow in Oyster Pearl, so really excited to try that. I also got their little pointed eyeliner brush. I've been needing a brush like this for so long, and I think the main thing I'm going to use this for is to apply like faux freckles. Probably not today, but I did get that brush. And then I also got their flat eyeliner brush because I didn't have a brush like this, and I'm just kind of curious to see if I enjoy a brush like this. I used to have a flat eyeliner brush from ColourPop, but the bristles were just so stiff and like kind of short, and this has slightly longer bristles, so it does feel like it has a little bit more flexibility than that ColourPop one I used to have, so I think I'll like this one better. Another tool I got, because this was on sale for like $2, was their Pro Eyelash Curler. Quite a few people actually told me that this is a decent eyelash curler, so I figured since I'm new to the eyelash curler game, this would be a good place to start. And then finally, there were some really good gifts with purchase this time. First was this trio of their putty primers. So it came with their matte putty primer, their luminous putty primer, and the original poreless putty primer. So I've never tried any of their putty primers before, so I think I'll try just the original one today, but I'm excited that I get to try all three of those, and I feel like even though these are minis, these will probably last me a while because I don't use primers a whole lot. Also, this was a gift with purchase, and I figured, what the heck, I'll go ahead and try it. It's their Cream and Sugar bite-sized quad. So you might remember my experience with the Rosewater quad. I liked it for like a year, and then at some point after like about the 1 year mark of having it, the shades just kind of stopped performing well, so I wouldn't have bought this, but since it was a gift with purchase, I do think these are the kinds of colors I'll use a lot, so I figured I'd give it a try. Maybe I'll give their bite-sized quads one last chance since it was free anyway, and we'll just see if I have a different experience with this one. Finally, I also got a free mini enhancing lash and brow serum, so that I will be trying as well. And I'll try to take some progress photos with this so we can see if it actually makes a difference. But that is my e.l.f. haul, actually quite a big haul for me. Oh, and then I did get a couple of skincare things as well for my boyfriend. I got him their Happy Hydration Cream. He really likes the Holy Hydration. I don't think that one was on sale this time, but this one was, and I had tried this one in the past, and I remember it being very similar to the Holy Hydration one, so I'm pretty sure he'll like that too. And then I also got him a mini of the Holy Hydration Daily Cleanser. He's a big fan of e.l.f. skincare, so I'm excited for him to try those out. Yeah, okay, so that's it for my haul. I feel like I just talked really fast through that because I want to get into the application. Also, I am drinking coffee today, and this is the second time I've had coffee in the last like month and a half. I quit drinking coffee. I want to drink it still from time to time because I enjoy it, but I just don't want to rely on it in order to feel like a human. So that's why I might seem a little talkative today because I'm not used to having this much caffeine. Let's get on into the products. So I'm going to try to do as full of a face of e.l.f. as I can today with some of my existing products as well. So I'm going to start out with my Hydrating Camo Concealer. This I've had for a while. This has been a favorite of mine for quite some time. I'm almost done with this tube. Well, by almost done, I probably have another like month to go, but I'm going to go in with this first since I'm going to be trying their powder foundation. I did get some fall pumpkins. Also, thank you for your feedback on my background. I did ask in my community tab what you guys think of my background, what I should do. I'm struggling to make a decision, you guys. I know some people don't like the green dresser. I know some people do like it. I'm gonna play around with like moving it out of the center. And anyway, but for now, I did get some pumpkins to go in the back for fall. I'm leaning towards just not having the green dresser in the background at all because I would prefer to have neutral colors in my background just so that it doesn't throw off the white balance, because it can just be tricky to have such an intense color behind me for filming. I do really like the dresser itself, but I just don't think it's the best for filming videos. But I'm gonna try it off center first and just see how that works, because maybe that'll be fine. I totally meant to put one of these primers on first and I completely forgot, but I'm gonna put some on my forehead at least, and that way we can kind of test like what the difference is between the parts of my face that do have it and the parts that don't. I'm gonna go in with the Poreless Putty Primer today, just the original one. And from what I understand, a little goes a long way with this. I do already have sunscreen on. I don't normally like to put primer over sunscreen, but I'm just gonna kind of tap this in so that it hopefully doesn't move my sunscreen around. I'll go ahead and put some like on my chin as well. Just kind of curious to see what this does. Put some on my upper lip too. This is kind of the area where my makeup tends to break apart or just look dry, especially around my smile line. So let's kind of tap some in. I'm just going in with a very small amount. Okay, so now getting into the Camo Powder Foundation, I got the shade Fair 120N. It looks a tad yellow and light for my skin, like very yellow. Even though normally fair neutral is my shade, this seems, it looks so light. I'm concerned that it's going to just look chalky on my face, but let's just give it a try. I'm actually going to go in with this angled brush. I probably would use something like my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush, but that brush is just dirty right now. So I'm going to try this Angie Hot and Flashy A507 from BK Beauty. I think it's kind of the right density and shape for this, so we'll try it out. But we'll start on my cheek so we can see how the coverage is. And this does come with a sponge as well, but I don't know if I want to use that for the first try at least. Okay. So it is covering. Yeah, this is... Ooh, yeah, this is too light for me. Yikes. Alright, I'm gonna keep going. I'm just gonna trust the process and hope that it doesn't look too absurd at the end. No, this is bad. This is very, 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 very bad. Okay, part of it is that this is way too light for me, but this looks horrible on my skin. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Wait, do you see how separated it looks right there? Oh no. Oh no. Oh my god, no, look at my forehead! Ugh. I don't know if the camera is doing it justice just how horrible this looks on my skin. This is not gonna work. This is not gonna work. I need to wash this off. I'm impressed with the coverage. Like, it definitely does cover, so I will give it that. Yeah, I'm gonna wash this off and start over because this is just bad. Okay, I'm back for take 2. So instead I am just going to use my Project Pan foundation, the Ilia Skin Tint. But first I will go ahead and go in with some of that Poreless Putty Primer again, just kind of give it a real test. So I'm just kind of putting it in the areas that have prominent pores or just kind of areas where makeup might break down more easily. So I'm doing the forehead, and I'm really just kind of going like that, picking up just a small amount on my finger and then tapping it in. And I do think with this kind of primer, it's good to kind of let it set and sink into your skin before you go in with foundation. So I'm going to give that like 5 minutes to just kind of sink in. And now I'm just blending my Ilia skin tint on top of that. Alright, so next going in with that e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer again. Just like to do one little dot under each eye of that. I do think I see just a little bit of a smoothing effect in those pore areas, especially my chin. I feel like that's the spot that I notice it the most with that Poreless Putty Primer. And I definitely can still see my pores on my cheeks, but like I also don't really mind having pores. Like I think that's just a normal part of being alive. So I don't really mind having visible pores. Yeah, I will be curious to see just how my makeup wears throughout the day, and of course I'll test that with other foundations as well. Now that that's on, let's try these two putty cheek products. So let's start with the putty bronzer. I ended up getting the shade Feelin' Shady, which was, I think, the lightest shade, and this was kind of the more cool toned of the lighter shades. So kind of more of a contour shade. Let's see. Definitely feel like I'm having to pick up quite a bit to get it to show up. Like my default is to go in pretty light-handed because I don't want to have too much, but definitely swirling my brush in there. Let's see. Okay, so that is definitely cool tone. Like if you're looking for a true contour, there's really not much warmth to this shade at all. Like even as you blend it out, it's pretty cool. Okay, so there's the putty bronzer. I would say it is pretty subtle. Like I am building it up on this side here. Yeah, I mean, even just swatching this on the back of my hand, you can see the color is not very deep. So I think this would probably make a good shade for fair skin. Like if your skin is even more than like a couple shades deeper than mine, it might almost not show up because I kind of had a hard time getting it to show up, but I do think it looks good on my skin. So I think if your skin tone is like even a couple shades deeper than mine, this might not show up very well on you because even on my skin tone, it is quite subtle, but I think it looks good. Like it's subtle in a good way, but I think it looks good. Like you kind of just can't tell that I'm wearing contour, but it did add a little something to my skin. So cool. All right, we'll see how that holds up throughout the day. So that's the putty bronzer. Let's try out the Luminous Putty Blush. In this, I got the shade Maui. I like that these kind of have a cream to powder sort of feel to them, so that's what that looks like. And they do make a non-luminous version of this that I believe is all matte. This does have shimmer to it, so, you know, obviously not everyone's gonna like that. As I blend it out, I don't really see, it doesn't look like terribly glittery, it just has very fine shimmer, like kind of golden shimmer particles to it. So let's see how this goes on. I'm just going to use the same brush for this. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that I don't have to be too careful with these. Like I don't have to worry about them being too pigmented. Can kind of layer quite a bit on and they're not going to look like clown makeup. That is a very pretty color. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Tower 28 Magic Hour cream blush, except this one is a little bit more cool toned and the Magic Hour one doesn't have any shimmer to it, whereas this one does. So it's kind of the difference there in case you were wondering. Different texture as well. The Tower 28 one doesn't dry down or anything. Yeah, they actually look very different swatched out. The Tower 28 one is a lot warmer. That's the one on the bottom. That's the e.l.f. one on top. So yeah, quite different actually. They look like they might be similar in the pan, but on the skin, they're quite different. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and set my face with two e.l.f. powders that I've had for a while. I'm gonna use the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder on my under eyes. Love this for a loose powder. And then to set the rest of my face, I'm going to use, this is actually discontinued as far as I know. This is the e.l.f. Sheer Tint Finishing Powder. I'm almost done with mine. I actually just repressed it. So this should be done very soon. All right, and because that blush is already nice and luminous, I didn't put any setting powder over like this part of my cheeks because I didn't want to cover those products up. But because it's already glowy, I'm not going to go in with highlighter today. So that is it for the face, I think. Let's go ahead and try out this brow lift. I am so curious. So I'm just gonna go through with like a regular spoolie first, just kind of get my brows combed out. And the instructions on this said to bend spoolie end of applicator and gently dip into gel. On clean brows, brush up and out while pressing down for your desired shape. Use the flat end of the applicator to press brows into place until set. So it sounds like you're supposed to use this before you fill in your brows because you wouldn't want to dip like a dirty spoolie into here. So I'm just going to take this clean spoolie here. What is the texture like on this? Okay. There's that. I hope I didn't get too much. I think I've seen people kind of like use the lid to get it spread in there. And then just try it out. All right, and then we're going to use this flat end to press them down. I don't want my brows to be straight up. I don't really think that looks the best. All right, now just kind of pressing them down. Feels like glue. All right, so they certainly look like they're in place. My only thing is like now I want to fill them in. Now I'm gonna go in with a little bit of my ABH Dip Brow Pomade in the tail. I'm just gonna kind of fill them in like I normally do with a combination of the brow pomade and the NYX Lift and Snatch brow pen. Okay, so as with any new brow product, definitely there's going to be a learning curve. I like it. I kind of just would prefer to be able to apply this kind of thing after I filled in my brows, so I'll probably try that next time, but I'm not sure if that would move around like my brow marker, so maybe it doesn't work that way. And also I don't want this to get dirty with product from the spoolie getting in there and making it gross, so I guess that means I have to clean the spoolie in between every use. Yeah, if you use this e.l.f. brow lift or a similar product, let me know how you use it. Like, what step in your brow routine do you fit it in? I do like how flat my brows are, because that is one thing I struggle with my brows. My brow hairs themselves are kind of curly. Like, if I lose a brow hair and look at it up close, it kind of has a little wave to it. So they're a little unruly in that way, so I kind of like how it just like flatten them against my face, because that's how I want them to behave. So could potentially be a winner. I'm just gonna have to keep testing it. Okay, so for eyeshadow, I'm really excited to try this No Budge shadow stick, and I'm actually gonna try this with no eyelid primer underneath, just because I want to test that no budge claim and see if it truly is no budge. Like, can I get away with wearing this with no primer? If so, that would be awesome. So I got the shade Magnetic Pull, and let me go ahead and show you a swatch of this first. So that is what that looks like. Beautiful taupe color. This looks like it would make a great one and done shadow look. And it has a nice just satin finish to it. So let's just try it out. I've been wanting to try the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize in Oyster Pearl, but I just cannot bring myself to spend the money on it. So if this ends up being a good alternative, I'll be very happy. Just kind of blending that out with this BK Beauty 205, just kind of an angled, slightly fluffy brush. It's good for blending cream shadows. I like how it's going on very smoothly. It's not tugging at my eyelid at all, but it's also not super soft to the point where it's smushing around and like depositing way too much product. So far, I'm enjoying it. Very, very initial impressions. And I have to say, it's blending very easily. It's not getting patchy or anything. I do want to dip into this Cream and Sugar quad. I'm just going to grab some of, I'm mostly just going to leave it at that, just as a one shadow look, but I am going to take some of this light shimmer shade and use that in my inner corner. And really just to put this flat eyeliner brush to the test, I'm going to take some of that darkest brown shade and use that as kind of a smudgy liner here. Just see how that applies. Okay, so far I do like this brush. I like that it doesn't feel really stiff, like I'm stabbing myself on the eyelid. That's kind of how I felt about that ColourPop one I had a while ago. These bristles just have a little bit more flexibility to them, so they're not like sharp on your eye. So that is good. And that brown went on just fine. I feel like, yeah, so far, no complaints about either of those two shadows. And then I'm just going to take some of this lightest matte shade here, kind of this matte peachy color. Does that work as a brow bone highlight? I'm just gonna kind of use that on the brow bone and out here to kind of clean up that outer edge that I got a little too carried away with. So I'll keep playing with that cream and sugar quad. Obviously didn't get like a ton of experience with it with this look, but let's hope this holds up better for me than Rosewater, and also let's hope it's not as crumbly as Rosewater was, because that one I had to repress like twice before I finally gave up on it. But this Magnetic Pull eyeshadow stick, I did really enjoy applying this. Excited to see if it creases or not. If this doesn't crease, I'm gonna be very impressed, because most things do crease on me, so we'll give that a little test. I'll probably leave like a pinned comment giving you guys some updates on how these things wore throughout the day, but I'm excited about this. This seems very promising. I like the way it applied, I like the way it blended, and I really like the shade. So, that's exciting. All right, so time to try out this eyelash curler now. Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but my left eyelashes are the main ones that I feel like really need to be curled, because they, in just the past couple years, have just started, like, a lot of my eyelashes on my left side have just started pointing either straight out or down, and I didn't used to have that. I used to have a lot of like natural curl to my lashes, and I think just as I've gotten older, they've gotten straighter, so kind of why I wanted to finally get an eyelash curler. So I kind of held it down 3 times on each side, and they do look curly. So I'm gonna go in with my current favorite mascara, the Milani Anti-Gravity. I don't currently have a mascara from e.l.f. I'm still a little bitter at them for discontinuing the Keep Your Curl mascara that I loved. Do you guys remember when I wouldn't shut up about that one like 2 years ago? Okay, so I went ahead and put some mascara on. I'm wearing the Milani Highly Rated Anti-Gravity mascara, my current favorite. I do think my lashes do just look more lifted, although maybe I should have held it down longer on this side, on the side that I was saying the lashes have been kind of straight. On my right side, I feel like my lashes look amazing, but these are also, this side naturally has more curl to it anyway. This is the side that I feel like has gotten a little bit droopier recently, and this side doesn't look quite as lifted as this side to me. So I might need to just hold the curler down a little bit longer on this side, or like really focus it on my outer lashes, because those are the ones that have kind of started to stick out straight. All right, so finally for the lips, I think I'm gonna do sort of a combo of 3 different e.l.f. lip products that I have. So I'm gonna start out with the shade Nectar from their Seriously Satin line. This is one of my favorite fall nude colors. I'm gonna kind of focus this on the outer parts of my lips. I'm gonna kind of do a mix of this with my Seriously Satin lipstick in Cream, which is a lighter, kind of more pinky nude. I do feel like Nectar on its own is a little too warm for this like very cool toned eye look, so I'm gonna add some of this on and just kind of blend it in with my finger. And then I'm gonna take some of my lip plumping gloss in the shade Champagne Glam, kind of top it all off with that. Oh, and about the No Budge Shadow Stick, I do have a swatch here on my hand. Let's see. Now that it's had some time to set, let's see if it comes off. Okay, so it rubbed off a little bit, but most of it is definitely still there, and it's not like I'm going to be going over my eyelids with a dry washcloth anytime throughout the day, so seems promising so far. Okay, so that is my mostly full face of e.l.f. I'm bummed about the Camo Powder Foundation. That was an epic fail. Not only the shade, but also it looked so bad on my skin. I don't want to completely write it off because, you know, I'm sure I could test it out with some different, you know, sunscreens underneath, different products. I was also testing it with a primer that was new to me, so lots of different factors that could go into why it looked so bad on my skin. But if I ever do find a shade that matches me better, I might give it another try, but definitely didn't have the best first impression of that. Let me know what you think of this powder foundation if you've tried it. But so far, everything else I enjoyed a lot. I especially am excited about that No Budge Shadow Stick. I feel like this might end up being a really great kind of everyday one and done shadow, which I've been really into recently. I also have to say, regarding the Poreless Putty Primer, looking at my face now all done, my forehead, nose, and chin area all look very smooth and blurred. So, like, more so than usual, And I've been using that same powder and Ilia foundation for the past couple months, and I do notice a difference in just the smoothness of the way my skin looks, but it doesn't look cakey or weird. So that might actually be a winner. Especially excited about the No Budge Shadow Stick. I think that might be one of my favorite things that I tested in this video. Along with the Putty blush and bronzer, I do, especially the blush, I really like that tone on my skin. And the Putty bronzer also does seem like a nice contour so far, but of course I will have to keep testing these things out, see how they wear throughout the day, all that kind of stuff. But I will leave a pinned comment down below just giving you some updates on how these things wore today, but of course I need to test them out for a lot longer before I share my final review. But it was really fun to just get caught up on some of these new e.l.f. products. They've released a lot of cool stuff over the last year that I've just been kind of out of the loop on. So it was nice to kind of get reacquainted with e.l.f. and see what kind of new stuff they're doing. So thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and otherwise I will talk to you very soon in my next video. Bye!